another draft profile video, and today we have an offensive lineman. It's Sam Hecht out of Kansas State, so let's get right into it. This is a 2-year starter that is a little bit undersized based on some of the measurables in terms of length, hand size, sub 300 pounds at 6'4.25", yet over this past season showed a lot of athleticism, also as well some play strength, though he is a little bit on the lighter side based on his measurables. And today we're going to look at a player that could potentially be an early starter in the NFL. Now, this past season, statistically, in a really good spot. Again, over the past 2 years, became a full-time starter, 5-year senior. And this past year, only allowed 7 hurries, 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit. The year before allowed 0 sacks, 11 hurries. I think the athleticism pops as well as some of the play strength and the combination of those two things and how they could translate to the NFL. Though he may be viewed as more so as only a center prospect due to some of the limitations in terms of length, and I think also some of the lateral range as a pass protector as well. With the pass game impact, to me, what I do like is he creates a very early anchor with leverage and lockout. He attacks and he closes airspace in a hurry, finds openings. He does the same thing as a run blocker as well. You'll see his awareness and pass protection tend to shine here. He's got very wide vision, and when he makes his determination to go find somebody, he does. To me, I think creating depth isn't overly fluid. He tends to play pretty shallow as a center, but that can be a good thing because it, of course, keeps more depth for the pocket. I think it also, though, allows the opportunity for guys to get an edge and get upfield, and he does tend to get himself turned and completely flipped and give up an edge a little bit easier than I think that you would like to see from the center position, which can be a problem for gap-to-gap range. He snaps his hips to sustain once the defender does get an edge, and you'll see some of that power really in the core strength that'll show up there. I think he can get sped up a little bit versus some real quickness off the ball into some of his pass sets, but he plays to me with good functional strength when he gets his block squares, low entry to create an anchor, sits himself down, really good knee bend, also really good ankle flexibility as well. I think his flexibility as an offensive lineman is what stands out. To be over 6'4", he plays with a really good, consistent pad level, strong in the ankles. I think his second effort anchor is a bit of a problem as his feet tend to stall out, and that gives up an edge. And again, his gap-to-gap range to me is not fantastic. I think it's much better as a run blocker when you see him get out in his space. And again, I don't think he's incredibly fluid at creating depth in pass protection. That said, though, what I do think is that in terms of recovery ability, when he gets in awkward positions, he does have the footwork cover when he gets in overset positions. He just has a tendency to overset. And you'll see this in like stunt pickups or working games up front where he gets into entry points. And you'll see this as a run blocker too, where it looks like he doesn't see anything, kind of puts his head down. You'll get some poor angles into attack that feel very aggressive, and he gives up opportunities to get an edge. He also can get over his toes a little bit when he's stabbing and he's trying to find connection early in pass protection. I think his lower body positioning allows him sometimes to give up an edge in pass pro. But what you do like is there's really good twitch for entry placement, really good quickness, and slide protection. He's effective. He's got fast, independent hands immediately off the snap. I think that length can give him a bit of problems in pass protection, and specifically it'll allow him to give up a little bit more ground than you would hope for early when guys get in his chest. I also think that while he uses his drag hand really well and he gives support with that really well, I think the problem is he plays with kind of high punches. Doesn't do a great job, I think, of resetting and reworking his hands underneath. He allows himself to stay high as he's settling in a very early anchor, and that also allows opportunities for him to continue to get work back into the pocket. And he doesn't consistently close airspace in those opportunities either. I think he leaves too much airspace between him and a defensive lineman. Now, in the run game this year, I think he really pops, and you get excited about what Sam can bring to the table because he's got good quickness into his positioning, good quickness out of his stance. He's got good second level speed when he's working up to linebackers. You'll see this when they get him out in space as a puller as well. Good short area outside zone quickness. Sinks really low off the line of scrimmage to get out into space. And this, I think, you see some of the hip flexibility specifically. There's some looseness there to get out into space. He's got foot quickness in space. I do think he tends to get off blocks a little bit too early and find the next block, and that could be a bit of a problem. I think his timing is a bit inconsistent, and that can also tap into his angles a little bit as well. His placement, to me, gets a little bit sloppy on combo blocks. He doesn't feel overly impactful at fitting some of those double team blocks and creating great movement at the point of attack. I think he gets a little bit sloppy, especially when he gets rushed into those positionings, and we saw that against Utah this past season. But I do like his lateral movement to seal second level blocks, creates a wall with angles when he gets upfield. He adjusts really quickly in these spots, and typically he has to balance because of how low he plays to recover. Pacing tends to be a little bit hit and miss for actually settling into making a good connection at the point of attack. He doesn't create, to me, outstanding knockback on first contact like for wide zone schemes, but what I do like is that he has a really wide base when he's working downhill for blocking entry. He also, to me, isn't overly stout, and I think you just see that through his frame, but he does have really sturdy bend, which he creates through the lower body, creates through the ankles. He absorbs contact at the point of attack. He does get bounced off of combo blocks a bit, which again, to me, that's not where you overly feel him impactful is fitting into those. But the good knee bend, low pad level when he's running in zone scheme, we saw that against Oklahoma State. He has good immediate leverage when he's working downhill right off the ball for short area situations specifically. He leverages his hips really well to sustain. He's also very active with his footwork when he does find connection to continue to run. And I like how he attacks guys in that zone blocking scheme. He attacks beyond the line of scrimmage. He attacks in a hurry. He gets to his position really fast to play beyond the line of scrimmage. That's his mentality. Explosive hips at the second level when he finds connections. He's got really good tenacity, mean-spirited approach to it, which I think does work really well for him in terms of finishing ability and some sustainability as well. Good core strength when he attacks, and he's able to reach and reset on blocks. And you'll see he's really effective with his reach blocks. The angles are really strong. He comes in low, gets his hands underneath, and to me, tying that along with the fact that his core strength allows him to turn the corner, some looseness there as well to really create effective lanes and open up and springboard some big runs as we've seen this past season. He's got strong base positioning to absorb contact when late linebackers try to fit gaps, and he just has to take those blocks on. From a body control perspective, I think he plays with really good body control when he's reaching blocks. I just think that he misses the initial latch a little bit too often, which again, to me, can be more of a hand placement issue than anything. He tends to play low, but his hand placement is a little bit inconsistent finding the initial latch. He does get under your arm for drive blocks when he's able to just strictly get downhill. He's also very responsive to the next block in his zone blocking scheme. I just think his timing to tag and climb is a bit inconsistent right now. I just think that his big problem is that his footwork tends to get a little bit static, and you'll see this where he kind of like lunges into second level blocks, or he kind of loads up to find connection, and it feels like his footwork kind of just stalls out, or even in pass protection where he's working onto the next defender and he kind of just stalls and his feet just stop moving, and that gives up second effort opportunities for guys to get upfield on him. Space, he's a little bit less fluid connecting with blocks. His body control just feels a little bit rushed in those places, and again, he tends to kind of duck his head and lose vision, and he also loads up a little bit in space. Balance can be a little bit hit and miss in some of the short area positions, especially for defenders that'll slant gaps or sidestep him between short spaces. That's where you'll kind of just get him lunging over his toes. He typically finds his balance, but he will completely whiff in those spots. Look how quickly he's able to drop his weight and recover. Overall, I think Sam Hecht has potential early starting ability. I don't know that he will be. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think he's definitely built to be kind of more of a reaching zone blocker, maybe a little bit less dominant with double teams and viewed in as a gap scheme, but he is capable of doing it all because he can move, and I think his play strength is pretty surprising for a guy at his size. I think that's good. His reactive athleticism is very good. He's got a lot of the critical factors that you can build on right now, and I think technically you probably just need more polish. His body control could be a lot better than it is right now just by adding some pacing and patience to his game, but I think he's a plus run blocker, close to being a plus pass protector at this point. He's got good awareness, good footwork. He can finish. His flexibility, to me, is what really can separate him early on. And again, power-wise, while he's not overwhelming, there's more than enough there, I think, to deal with most responsibilities to at least be a guy that can create positional blocks and seal blocks and open up gap scheme opportunities rather than just running and moving people around. Though he does show that ability to get inside, sustain, and drive and work guys backwards, and he shows the tenacity to do it. So I think Sam Hecht has an opportunity to be an early starter. I have him with a 6-1 grade, a little bit higher than maybe you would expect based on some of my positional grades here, but ultimately I think that this guy has potential to potentially step in as an early center. I just don't know how much guard flexibility there's truly going to be here with Sam Hecht. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.